guess who's back? What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Midlife Mama. I am so excited to be back. I know I missed you guys and I have been gone for a while. I cannot believe that my last video was actually in December of last year. It was the Christmas vlog, and I just took the whole month of January to recover. The last part of 2019 was pretty rough. So I took the whole month of January to regroup and recover, and I spent a good part of December sick and lost my voice at one point, and it just, yeah. So I took the whole month of January to recover, like I said, and regroup. But we are back. In today's video, I want to take some time to share some things that I've learned, some things that I am proud of, and a couple of things that I would do different if I could go back So before I get into that though, let me say thank you to my loyal subscribers. You guys have been hanging with me through my many mental breaks that I take with this channel. You guys have been hanging with me and sticking with me, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. To the newbies, you guys who are just now joining us, don't think I didn't see you guys when I was taking my little break. Don't think I didn't see you. Thank you for joining the family. Welcome. I'm happy to have you. If you are just checking in and you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Join the family. I would love to have you join the family, and I hope you jump in the comments and join the conversation. And with that said, let's get into this video, shall we? So the first thing I want to cover with this video is that the biggest thing that I struggled with since becoming a mom, and what that thing is the guilt. It's what we call, or you see it all over YouTube, it's called mom guilt. And for me, that mom guilt started the minute I had to go back to work. Many of you know that I had to go back to work fairly early. I went back to work at about 8 weeks. Nevaeh was about 2 months old when I had to return to work. And that in itself created some guilt and some separation anxiety. Many of you also know that I spent a good portion of that first 3 years working outside of the home. And that coupled with going back to work so soon, it really created a perfect storm of this perfect environment for the guilt to fester. And there was a point in time recently that I was working 2 full-time jobs. And if you follow me, you saw a post where I said, hey, you guys, I'm working 2 full-time jobs. Do you want to see how I manage it? And a lot of you said, yes, I would love to see how you manage 2 full-time jobs, a toddler, and a YouTube channel. And the truth of the matter is you never saw that video, because the truth of it is that I didn't manage it. Something had to give. First, it was the channel. So you started to see less videos. And then the next thing to go was the job that took me out of the home. So I now spend most of my time working. When I'm working, I work at home. I work more than one job. I do have the one job that I do full-time from home, but I have a lot of other little side hustles that I do. So you see, if you follow me or you follow my chef page, then you see that I teach cooking classes from home, and that takes up time. A lot of that takes up time. So it did not eliminate the guilt, but it did give me more time at home with Nevaeh when I'm not working. Working from home has made things a little bit easier. It has not eliminated the guilt, but it has made things just a little bit easier. So in order to keep the guilt at bay, I do a couple of things. I try and keep 1 or 2 days free in the weekends for Nevaeh. And I try to keep 1 full weekend free for Nevaeh so that we can do fun things. Just with Nevaeh, it was just mommy and me time. And the other thing that I have to do is remind myself that it's okay for me to do what I need to do in order to take care of my family. I have to remind myself of that so that I don't get consumed by the guilt, because if I don't work, we don't eat. So mommy has to work. And I know that I think sometimes Nevaeh gets very frustrated with hearing that phrase, because she hears it a lot. Mommy has to work. Mommy has to go to work. Mommy has to finish working. She hears that phrase a lot. And I know that she gets frustrated with hearing it, especially when I have to go and take her downstairs to my mom. And she doesn't really want that. She wants to hang with mommy in the mornings, and she wants to stay with mommy in the mornings. So she gets upset, and the guilt happens when I have to walk away and leave her crying with my mom, because what she wants is mommy, but mommy has to go upstairs to work. So it's a little bit harder on her, because she knows that I'm home, but she's starting to understand that even though I'm home, that mommy does have to work. So then there's a whole other guilt thing. It does help that Nevaeh has to be at school, is going to school 4 days a week. But now I know that we're still in that phase where Nevaeh doesn't really want to go, or she doesn't really like being there. So now there's guilt involved with that. So listen, it's a vicious cycle. The guilt, it comes, it goes. It's ever present for me right now as a working mom, and I just have to manage it. So I'll keep y'all posted. If you have any tips on managing mom guilt, feel free to leave them in the comments. It's a conversation. I don't have all the answers. I just have what I do to help me manage it. So if you have any other tips on managing mom guilt, please leave them in the comments, because it could help not only me, it could help you, or it could help someone else. So yes, help us manage mom guilt, because it's a real thing. The next thing that I want to mention is that we're talking about guilt in the last segment, and because of that guilt, I started to devote all of my free time to Nevaeh, spending all of my free time with her. If I had any extra spare moments, those moments went to Nevaeh. What that meant was that none of that time was going to me. And as a result, I have failed wholeheartedly at self-care. I have failed miserably at self-care, you guys. And if you look at the artwork on this channel, it says motherhood and self-care after 40. I have to be honest with you guys and say that I have not been practicing self-care. I've not been taking care of myself. I've not been taking care of my spiritual health, nor have I been taking care of my mental health. So I have been failing at self-care. I had a good run in that first year. I did. I had a good run. I was doing the weight loss Wednesdays and eating good and losing weight and taking care of myself and exercising. And then, yeah, I failed. I plan to be better at self-care this year and going forward. So I don't really have any tips for you guys for self-care right now. I will give you guys tips as I have them, but I really don't have them because I failed miserably at self-care in my first 3 years as a midlife mama. Enough talk about me. Let's talk about my greatest joy, which is, of course, Nevaeh. So Nevaeh has by leaps and bounds, Nevaeh has developed into this really delightful little kid. I am in awe and amazed at how her personality is developing. If you follow us on Instagram, then you see a lot of it. You see, I share a lot of her milestone moments on Instagram. So definitely follow me on Instagram, because if I'm not posting here, I'm definitely posting on Instagram. So you see a lot of her milestone moments, and yeah, so you're probably just about caught up as to what Nevaeh is up to these days. But I do have a really cool video planned that focuses just on her. I was planning to do this video last year, and I just never got around to it with the scheduling and things like that. Just work and mommyhood and life. I just never got around to doing this video, but I have a really cool video planned that focuses just on her. But I'll give y'all a little bit. The biggest thing we conquered with Nevaeh last year was potty training. And I was going to do a potty training video. There are a million potty training videos on YouTube, and I watched over half of them. And let me be honest and say that those are some great videos, but none of them helped me potty train Nevaeh. Not one of those videos helped me potty train Nevaeh. A lot of them focus on the 3-day method, and the 3-day method was a no-go for me. Nevaeh resisted that method it did nothing for Nevaeh. It did not work for her. And I'm just gonna say it didn't work for her. So I could do a video with all the little tips, and I did have like some tips written out. I think it was called the Working Mom's Guide to Potty Training. There were 3 things that worked for me for potty training Nevaeh, 3 things. And those 3 things were patience, consistency, and enlisting the help of my village. So I didn't potty train Nevaeh by myself. Everybody potty trained Nevaeh. She was potty trained by my mom. She was potty trained by my brother. She was potty trained by her babysitter, and she was potty trained by her school. It took a village to potty train Nevaeh. And when you are a single working mom, those are the 3 things you need in order to succeed at potty training. Yes, you can make it fun and make it exciting and do the celebrating. We did all of that, but we all did all of that. It didn't really work until we were all consistent with it. So the 3 things: patience, consistency, and enlisting the help of your extended caregivers. Because when you are a single working mom, you need help potty training. It is what it is. So that's what worked for me. Those are my tips. Be very patient with it, be consistent with it, and get the help. Enlist the help of everyone who helps you take care of your little one. Those are my tips. That's it. I could give you the other tips, but those tips are all over YouTube and all of the videos. And none of those videos really helped me potty train Nevaeh. I didn't find success following the tips in those videos until I employed those 3 things. So they're all good tips, but those 3 things were key. But she's now fully potty trained. She's fully dry. She was a little over 2 before she was fully out of pull-ups. But she's out, panties, and now she, runs to the bathroom by herself. We go with her sometimes, but she will run to the bathroom by herself and do her thing, and then carry on about her business. So it is very freeing, very liberating to have the no diapers, and I am so excited that she's potty trained. But yes, those are my potty training tips, and you can consider this my potty training video. The other thing we're working on with Nevaeh right now, the new challenges are getting her to sleep independently in her bed. We are working on reading, and we are helping her to nurture this newfound independence that she has. She's in that I can do it by myself phase. A lot of things she wants to do by herself. So I'm trying to foster that and nurture that. And then the rest of the updates on Nevaeh, you guys will have to wait for that really cool video to come out. But follow me on Instagram. You can always catch an update on Nevaeh and her milestones and her antics on Instagram, in the stories and in the posts. All right. So speaking of Nevaeh, there are a couple of things that I did in my first 3 years that I would do differently if I could go back. So I want to share those few things with you as we close out this video. The first thing I want to say is that it pops into my head a lot, is that when Nevaeh was 13 months, I took her cold turkey off the bottle. And in hindsight, I wish that I had eased her off the bottle, because the minute I took her off the bottle, she stopped drinking milk. It made it a little bit harder for me to have to find ways to get her the calcium she needed. I was able to do it because I was fortunate that she likes to eat a lot of the other food items that have calcium in them. So you can be creative with that. Yogurt, cheese, smoothies, hide the milk in smoothies, a milk alternative that tastes good. Those types of things are what I used in order to get Nevaeh to get her calcium, because she completely stopped drinking milk the minute I took her off the bottle. She wouldn't take it from a sippy cup. And I also had trouble with getting her to go to sleep. That nighttime bottle that she was missing, it took a while for her to adjust to not having that nighttime bottle before she went to bed, and it did mess with her sleep a little bit. So I did feel like I should have eased her off of that bottle instead of just taking her cold turkey off of the bottle. So that's one thing. The next thing that I did, or that I would do different, is that I definitely left her on the pacifier too long. And it took a gentle nudge from one of you. It took a gentle nudge from one of you to get me to get serious about getting her off that pacifier. And you know who you are, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. But if you want to know how I did it, I used alternatives. Used lollipops. So if there was a live video where you saw we were in the midst of getting her off the pacifier, and she had lollipops, like double fisted. She had lollipops, a lollipop in each hand. But it helped her to have an alternative because the lollipops were handy. We did a lot of teeth brushing during that time, but they were handy to help get her off the pacifier. The other thing that was handy was watching for her cues to see when she was going to start looking for the pacifier. Then I could catch her and distract her with something else. And it took her a few nights of falling asleep without the pacifier. It took her a few nights to get used to sleeping without it. It made it a little bit, made sleep a little bit difficult. So we had some tired mornings, but she finally got there. It didn't even take a week for her to adjust to sleeping without that pacifier. So yes, we did kick the pacifier habit a little bit too late. So I do think that I left it too long. I would say if you're going to use a pacifier, I think a good time to remove it or stop using it is before they become dependent on it, before it becomes a crutch or a tool for either you or them or both. Because if I'm honest, the pacifier was really a crutch for me as well, because it was a quick way to get her to go back to sleep at night if she woke up. And it was a quick way to calm her down or soothe her when she was having a rough time. So it was a crutch for me as well. I do recommend that you don't wait as long as I did to get her off the passy. But if you are in that phase where your little one, your toddler, is in the 2s and heading into the 3s, and they're still clinging to the passy, then try the distraction tactics. Give them an alternative, and just prepare yourself for some rough nights until they get used to sleeping without it. That's what we had to do. The last thing there's a lot of debate about this, but the last thing is screen time. I do think that I introduced devices to Nevaeh way too soon. Nevaeh was very young when I introduced the phone to her. And it came about because she was fussy and crying, and I was looking for music or something to play for her to see if it would soothe her. And I was on YouTube and was looking for kid songs or baby songs or things like that to play for her. And I hit a Bob the Train video. And the minute that video came on, Nevaeh calmed right down. And it was a way to calm her down. It was a way to get her to calm down and focus on something else besides her discomfort. And it worked. I gotta say, it worked. But it was too soon. I think it was too soon. And I wish that I would have waited until she was a little bit older. I was able to recognize early on that this is way too early for her to be becoming dependent on a device. So I began to balance her screen time with other things. Balance is the key. If you have already introduced devices to your little ones, balance is key. I find that an 80-20 ratio is good, and that is 80% time away from the screen. And that's anything that's done away from the screen. 80% of it should be done away from the screen. And then another 10% she gets with her own exploration time. She has a device that is dedicated to her. It has only her stuff on it. It only has access to things that I want her to have access to. It's set up for her. So she gets 10% of the time she gets to play with her games and watch her shows that she likes to watch. And the other 10%, I use it as a learning tool. So 80-10-10 or 80-20. So 80% of the time away from the screen, 10% of the time free exploration. That's restricted. You definitely want to restrict the device before you let your toddler loose on the device. And then the other 10%, I use it as a learning tool. So that was a good ratio for me. Every child is different. Find a ratio that works for your child and do that if you've already introduced devices. I would recommend waiting until they're just a little bit older, maybe 1 or 1.5, before you start to introduce the electronics. Let them have more time to explore and play with the world around them before they get engrossed in the screen. Before I get out of here, I want to share the thing that I am most proud of in my first 3 years, and that is the mom that I've become in these last 3 years. I am definitely not the same mom that I was in 2016. I'm a different mom in 2020 in my first 3 years. But here's the thing. You make mistakes and you learn from them. You grow more confident in your ability to parent, and you grow more confident in the fact that you can trust yourself and trust the decisions that you make, and trust that you got it. You can do it. But you make mistakes and you learn from them and you grow. Motherhood is going to alter your reality, and you have to give yourself the room to make the mistakes, and you have to give yourself the permission to make the adjustments. You have to give yourself the grace to grow. The point of this video was to say that motherhood, the goal for me, the goal is never perfection. I'm never trying to be perfect, but I am always trying to be the best that I can be. So the goal is not perfection. The goal is to be the best that you can be. And if you do that, if you strive to be your very best, then you'll get very close to what you would consider, maybe not perfection, but you'll get to close to what is perfect for you and for your children. I think that covers it. Motherhood is a beautiful journey, but it's ever changing and it's ever growing. Just give yourself, like I said, roll with it. Give yourself the room to adjust and give yourself the grace to grow. Allow yourself to make the mistakes and learn from them, and all will be well. That's it for this video, you guys. Before I get out of here, I want to say thank you for watching. Meet me in the comments down below. I'll be live in the first hour or two after this video goes live, but I'm always monitoring the comments. So yes, chat with me in the comments below. Leave your tips for self-care, for succeeding at self-care, for taking care of yourself. Leave your tips for motherhood and potty training, whatever type of mommyhood tips you have for new moms entering their first 3 years of motherhood. Leave all those tips down below. Follow me on Instagram. I've said that all the way through the video. I'm also on Facebook, but usually I'm on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram, Midlife Mama, on both places. And hit the bell, subscribe if you haven't done that already. I missed y'all. I'm happy to be back. Hit the bell so you don't miss a video. I will see you guys in the very next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.